Hello, fellow Turo hosts. This is Patrick with TTFR and car sharing spreadsheet purchasers. It's 2022 and I've had my first car come back, so I figured this is a good time to do the how-to video on how to use the 2022 sheet. Got my first car in, and I'm going to go to the sheet, and for new purchasers, this is the actual how-to tab. Once you've figured out how to do everything, you can delete this tab if you want to, but we're going to start over here in the daily edition for trips. Choose the car from the pull down. We're going to go, here's our clean dashboard for the year, and we're going to go to reservations for this trip. It's going to be car 2 for me. You could choose it from obviously your 5 cars. If you purchase the customized sheet, your actual car names will be in there. I'm going to get my reservation from the details tab. Just going to copy that, move it over to the reservation, pay special, values only. That's important because you don't want to change the formatting of the sheet. Payment, what was that? $334.60. Location was airport for me. Check-in was 29th through the 1st. Trip miles were 51, I believe. Delivery for me was 45. There's no extras. He actually prepaid gas, but I don't actually track that. That should be a net zero transaction. Parking was $15.61 for me. And washes, no washes. Labor on this particular trip, I think I put out about 30 minutes of labor between washing and delivery and return. So that's the entire trip added. We should have numbers in the dashboard now. And you can see it, average income per day and utilization. You can see the first day of the year is covered. I'm going to do another section on this on how to add trips that are upcoming, but this is actually a completed trip. Cash flow, you can see car 2 has receivables of $334. Turo hasn't paid me yet, so once Turo has paid me, then I will move that over to income actually on the monthly sheet. Profit and loss by car, we've got some data in there now. Car 2's got some data. Labor monthly. Right now, my hourly rate is pretty high, $637 an hour for this particular one trip. That usually evens out to around $300 for me. Business analysis, we've got tracking on miles per month and days out. You can add other, obviously, charts here. There actually are some charts built that will populate as there's more data. Maintenance. This is when I would be entering my oil changes, things like that for car 2, things like that. But for now, we're going to go to car 2, January. We actually started the year at about, let's say, 61,000. This is what you would do on your, only on January would you ever enter anything into this spot here. It'll auto-populate on every month after January for every car. And we put 61, 554. This is about, I think, where it's at. So we probably want to change this to 61, 500. which would be a more accurate representation of how much has been put on there. So 94% of my miles now so far this year on that particular car are for Turo use. There's 54 total miles, and Turo were 51. And you can see everything's populated in the sheet here now. And you don't touch these. If you can see the double bordered red spots, these are the only places that you would enter anything that you have to track. Everything else should be auto-populated. Right now, you can see the price of the trip has populated to, this is what I should get from Turo. I can enter my insurance. It's due on 1/6/2022, and it is $123 for this car. It's stupidly expensive compared to the other cars. And my payment for this car is $355, and that is due 1/7/2022. You can add all this if you want to. So this is how I track what I got going in and going out, because everything you put in the cash flow management page here will then populate. Right now, if I move this then to trip paid, it would go into basically the bank account. So I'm going to move this $334.60. Say I got paid. I'm going to zero this out because I got paid, and then if I go to the cash flow page, we will see that it's moved from receivables to income, and we've got bills due here. And once this is paid, we'd actually be at a negative balance because we've got $478 due right now. But right now, we're forwarding a $339 balance, and this should be what's in your Turo account if you do it the same way I do. And you can see it's forwarded all the way through. So this is tracked month to month. We'll move over here. This balance is at the end of the month will then be forwarded to a total, and then this obviously will affect that, the credits and debits from month to month. And that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show you how to add an individual trip, and you can see the dashboard is populated now. It's got some income, average daily rate, it's showing here, and actually there's something missing. This particular one does not have data labels. Customize series, and we're going to go check data labels. Now it shows if you're building your own custom charts. That's one of the things that I'm a proponent about in building this. If you don't like the charts I put in here, it's pretty easy to change them around, and I will do another video on how to do that later. There's actually a video I think that covers some of that from last year's spreadsheet. But this is how you do it. Now you can see we've got my average daily rate for so far for 2022 is $111 a day, which is pretty good for that car. But it's a Christmas trip, and I have my rates up higher than they probably usually are. But that's it. Have a good 2022, everybody. And this is the first sheet of a couple on how to use this sheet. First video on how to use this sheet for this year. Thanks. Bye. And this section is going to be on adding a trip that hasn't completed yet. Most of my trips are that way. I generally add them all into my sheet as soon as they're booked, so I have an idea of what's upcoming. And you're obviously going to want to look at your utilization and see what days are open. That's going to help you manage your fleet. So we're going to start with this particular trip. I've got the reservation number copied, and what was it? It was 371.78, and this for me is car 3. I'm gonna pay special values only. 371.58. It's another airport trip, and the way the sheet functions, there is some cell validation here, so you need to put in the checkout date first before the check-in date. For this, it's gonna be 1/4/2022, and it started 12/31/2022, And I gotta put the wrong date. 2021. There, that works. Trip miles we don't know yet. Delivery is 45. Parking we don't know yet, and we don't know. We could put 5 minutes of labor in for taking the trip, and then that's pretty much it. And then you will see in cash flow we have receivables for that trip for that car. And if you go to January for that car, you'll see the trip. And we'll be starting this car at, I think it's 92,000 miles on it. It's probably going to be, I usually put something in here just to have something in here until the end of the month. And that's pretty much it. And once the trip completes, you can go into reservations and the trip is completed and put in your trip miles and any parking fees you might have, and then add the rest of your labor, and labor monthly will show for it. And as you can see, I've got a little bit of labor now for car 3. I've got a really good hourly rate because I have no time in there and a large amount of trips, so there'll be more time added to that, so that will crank down. And it shows my monthly hourly rate at $1,000 an hour. If I didn't put any more time in on this trip, it would stay there, but obviously it won't. Profit and loss, utilization. Now you see those 4 days are colored here as rented. And this is how this sheet will look, and this is how you can look at your utilization for the month. And that's pretty much it. We'll do another one on how to complete the trip, and an end of month video, or at least section of this video, for how you can enter the NADA book values and calculate what your depreciation is for the month as well. And that's it for now. Thanks. Hey, this section is going to be mainly on the cash flow page. So this is going to be how to, if you use this sheet the same way I do it, how to track your Turo or car sharing bank account. So I'm going to go into the sheet. You can see the how-to instructions are here in the first tab of the sheet, but we're going to get right into it and hop into January, sorry. Car 1 for me is out, still down, so I'm not going to have anything in that car. And so we've had a completed trip on this one, and I think in a previous video I went over a little bit about that. It will automatically populate to the trip dollars here, and all you will have to do then is move the trip from trip dollars to trip dollars paid, and that is how the cash flow sheet more or less works, because these cells over here are linked to the monthly cash flow, and then I will do the same here. Let's say we've now paid our insurance, so we're going to move the 123 here and zero this out here, and we've paid our car payment. Move that there, zero that out. And then we can go to our cash flow page, and as you can see, we've paid all of our debits that we have available, and we've received the one trip. So right now we're actually at a negative balance. This next trip with this will complete. I'll do the moving around, and then we'll be at profit again, and then that profit will then carry over to the next month when you finished all this out. So right now I've got 371 in receivables right now due. Let's say I've received this payment and I've paid $478 in bills. And back to that sheet, I use this for there's two places actually that some costs are actually maintained. Over here we have maintenance, which I track anything I've done, oil changes, things like that. Here, because that goes into our deductible expenses over here, so that's obviously important to track. And when we've paid that, I think I ended up paying about $125 in interest. That is a deductible expense, and the $123 in insurance goes here. I don't have that set up as an automatic link because sometimes that changes, but I probably should, and you may see that in your actual sheet if you download, because I think I will probably modify that so that the insurance, once paid here, does then transfer over to here. So now we're looking at our expenses here. You see the parking is all calculated into that as well. Maintenance, anything you put in here. I have a monthly maintenance plan that costs about $32.50. So when I add that, you see that I get a total here, 32, and now I've got maintenance here. So, and that's the total deductible expenses for the month. And I track that, and everybody should track that stuff for taxes. And this whole section on the side is for that. Monthly miles, we're looking at what the percentage of Turo use. For business use vehicles, they have to be over 50% business use. So this is how I track that. And then there's a couple of kind of business analysis numbers that we track here too. Average miles per trip, average miles per day. But anyway, this is the cash flow sheet, and that's how that looks. And like I said, move back to cash flow, and this should be your bank balance. You don't want to go negative, obviously. When you start the sheet, whatever you have in it at the beginning of this year, in this cell here, it's a C9. That's where you should add your starting balance. Like if you started with $150 in there, we'd have a positive balance, or 155. Let's start it with 155 in there. See, now we're positive. So this is your start balance for the year, right here. And then everything that you put in the monthly sheets then will populate to here. You don't have to actually enter anything here yourself except for the starting balance here. And that's the cash flow sheet. Thanks. This section of the video is going to be on basically monthly operations in the sheet, which is calculating if you have loans, calculating your equity in your vehicle, and depreciation throughout the month. So starting out here, as you can see, this is over here, and I have added a link to there to the NADA books. And for me, I go up and choose BMW. Wait for their slow site to load. And mine is a 2017. And it is a 2 Series. Mine particular is a 2-door 230i turbo. Zip code is already entered. I'm going to choose my options. Mine does not have heated seats. It has the driver assist. It has rear parking sensors. It has HID lamps. No nav, and I think that's a backup camera. And that's it for my car. And each month, if you want to make sure that you're accurately calculating this, you want to make sure you get the those settings all correct. I don't think I actually got mileage in there. Let's see, mileage and options. Mileage, 61,555 or something like that. Now let's go. So I go with the highest number to make me feel better, which is going to be clean retail. It was a CPO until last month, so it would have been at $27,250, which is great because I bought it for $21,000. But now we've had a crazy year for used car prices. Now we're at $25,275. So we're going to go into the sheet. We're going to go into January for this, and we're going to use this all of the January 2nd. We're going to use this as the NADA start. 25, what was it? 25,275. 25,275. And then at the end of the month, we'll calculate that again, and that's going to tell you what your depreciation is. Say it goes down to 25. At the end of the month, you'd add 25,000. Let's say, put a bunch of miles on it, so it went down. So we've got $275 in depreciation, and so right now, and my loan is somewhere around 15,000. Add that. So right now I've only made $334, and my expenses are $296.11 right now, and my full payment is the $355. So right now I'm at a negative before depreciation, even more after depreciation. My unrealized gains are what I'm carrying, the part of the payment that is principal. So Turo's paying all this. I'm not paying any out of pocket for my loans. Turo pays it all. So my profit after unrealized gains generally by the end of the month will be higher than that. And the profit after unrealized gains here will be basically what you made in profit after depreciation, adding what you added to taking off the principal of your loan. So that's all actual profit. Unrealized means you have not realized it. Realizing it means once you've sold the vehicle. So say I bought this vehicle entirely for Turo and never put a dime into it. So once I sell the vehicle, these profit after unrealized gains will become realized. Say I sell it for 15 to 20,000 in 3 or 4 years, and that will be how that's tracked. So anyway, and the end of the month also then is tolls. You got to go check your toll account and put any tolls for this particular trip in. And once you've reconciled that and submitted your claim for the toll, you can change this to yes, so you've reconciled that one. It's $3.50. This should be a zero net add of profit or anything like that. I just pass those through. I don't charge anything for tolls, so I just charge them what the actual toll is. So I don't add that anywhere in what we're making. So anyway, that will then all be reflected in what we're making. Average income per day for car 3, all this. And this is what this will all look like. But anyway, that's the end of month reconciliation part of this video. Thanks, and have a good 2022. Bye.